The pawn shop sat between luxury dealerships and glass office towers, a place where value was measured quickly and judged harshly. Outside, supercars glided past the windows as if the world belonged only to those who could afford it. Inside stood a boy named Ethan Cole, thin jacket hanging from his shoulders, shoes worn down by years of careful steps. He held a small object wrapped in faded cloth, gripping it with the kind of care people reserved for things that mattered more than money. Ethan did not come with confidence. He came because he had run out of options. Rent was overdue, food was scarce, and the last promise he had left was the one given to him by his grandfather. The old man had raised Ethan quietly after his parents passed away. He never spoke about wealth, never trusted banks, and never explained his past. Before he died, he placed the wrapped object into Ethan's hands and told him that if life ever cornered him, he should take it somewhere official. He told him not to argue, not to explain, and not to defend himself. He said the truth would speak on its own. Ethan never asked what the item was worth. He never imagined it was worth anything at all. The line in the shop moved slowly, and Ethan waited without complaint. Then the door opened and the room shifted. Vivian Cross stepped inside, her presence immediately bending attention toward her. She was known throughout the city for her wealth, her mansions perched above the skyline, and a fleet of luxury cars that rotated with the seasons. She did not acknowledge the line. She walked straight to the counter as if it had been reserved for her. Her eyes landed on Ethan. They lingered on his jacket, his shoes, and finally on the wrapped object in his hands. A faint smile crossed her face. She asked why he was being attended to at all. She suggested she should go first. Her voice carried easily, confident and sharp, and when her gaze returned to Ethan, it hardened with suspicion. "You're letting him go first?" Her eyes dropped to the wrapped item. "Where did you even find that? Roadside? Back alley?" Ethan said nothing. Vivian placed her items down confidently. Gold bars, high-end watches, property-backed certificates. Then she looked back at Ethan. "Be careful," she said loudly. "Pawn shops attract thieves." A few people laughed. Others watched more closely. The clerk hesitated, eyes moving between Ethan and the object he carried. Proof of ownership was requested, not harshly but carefully, as if already expecting the answer to disappoint. Without speaking, Ethan unwrapped the cloth. Inside was an old antique, worn by time, unpolished and unimpressive at first glance. It looked like something forgotten, something misplaced. Vivian laughed openly now, suggesting it belonged in a museum or a police station. Someone whispered that there was no way it could be his. The clerk examined it closely, then turned to the evaluation terminal. The screen went dark as the system processed the input. The room quieted. Vivian crossed her arms, amused, confident that the outcome was already decided. The screen refreshed. The clerk leaned closer, then closer again. His expression changed slowly, as if his mind was struggling to keep up with what his eyes were seeing. He turned the screen slightly away, checked again, and swallowed hard. The numbers continued updating, unlocking layers of information that had remained untouched for decades. What Ethan had carried into the shop was not decorative. It was a master registry artifact, a private ownership key tied to legacy holdings established long before the city rose around them. Trusts, estates, and industrial shares quietly linked to a man who never attached his name to wealth. A man who let value grow unseen. The total eclipsed everything Vivian owned, more than her mansions, more than her entire fleet of cars, more than all her assets combined. The laughter vanished. Vivian's confidence collapsed into silence. She tried to speak, but no words came. Moments earlier, she had questioned whether the item belonged to Ethan at all. Now she couldn't bring herself to meet his eyes. The clerk finally looked at the boy differently. His voice softened as he explained that the item never belonged in a pawn shop, that it never should have been judged by appearance. Specialists were called. The counter was cleared. Ethan was offered water and a seat, not out of pity, but out of respect. Ethan sat there quietly, overwhelmed, realizing that his grandfather had not left him money. He had left him protection. He had trusted that when the time came, the truth would defend itself better than words ever could. When Ethan stepped back onto the street later that day, nothing about him appeared different. His jacket was the same, his shoes were still worn, but the world felt altered. Not because he had become wealthy, but because he had learned something unforgettable. True value does not announce itself, and humility disappears the moment wealth assumes it has the right to judge.
If you enjoyed this story and agree that one's value shouldn't be attached to their wealth, give this video a like and subscribe to Life Tales.